Hey guys, do you think that you could capture someone's soul in a photograph? Do you think you could do that maybe? No? Well, that's what we're going to be talking about today with Denice Woller, one of our wonderful professors here at Bethany. It's just one of my solo episodes, so I really hope you enjoy.
Messed up my prints, and then that got me late to, I know, it was like deadly quiet, and I'm like, why are you not talking? Bye, guys.
See you later. Photo one.
Photo one is the best.
Yeah. I've heard very good things. Lydia took that class, right?
She did. It was fun.
Yeah. Although not next semester. You know what I didn't have to participate in this semester? Advising day.
How was that for you?
It was nice. Although yesterday was still like just so busy because it was Claire's birthday. And so we planned a party and stuff. Also, of course, I love my wonderful friends, but all of them were booked, literally booked by the hour. It's advising day. I'm like, y'all don't even have any classes. How are you this busy?
The one day of the semester where you shouldn't be busy.
Yeah, I know.
I could see one of them being overbooked because she's always overbooked. But
it applies that you can just blanket the whole group with that.
Well, your whole group of friends is very, very active.
It's wonderful. We'll probably end up talking about that a little bit.
Okay.
Activity. I also, well, no. We'll talk about that in a second. Okay. Hello, everyone. It's Norah. You probably know my voice. I think you know who I am. If not, my name is Norah. I'm a junior at Bethany. I'm a double major in studio arts and communication. And today, I have my friend Denice with me. Can you introduce yourself to the people?
My name is Denice Woller, and I don't even know how to explain myself because I have so many roles. Yeah, which role am I
Throw some out there. Throw some vocations
out there. All right, well, the reason that you know me is, first of all, because I'm a professor at Bethany Lutheran College. I've been here for 24-ish years. And I'm also a full-time photographer. I own Woller Photography. It's a photo studio just outside of Mankato, Minnesota. And I also have 4 children. And they're pretty awesome, and 3 of them are currently attending Bethany Lutheran College, so that's pretty awesome. They were all born within 5 years, so that's also a big part of my life.
They're great. I can attest to that. So I was really excited to talk to you for many reasons. Most of all, you're my friend, and it's so much fun to talk to you. And then
I always love talking to you.
You're an artist. I love talking to artists. And also I think, as so many of the other professors are here, you're an excellent example for, so not only is your art like a part of your like income, like it is your professional job, but you also do art outside of your business. Like you take pictures of things outside of your business. I would know every time I go anywhere with one of your children, there are about 10 billion pictures being taken, which is wonderful. But apart from
I've trained them well.
Apart from like day-to-day pictures, you also do things like we're going to talk about legacy photography. I was hoping a little bit, and you did an art show on legacy photography when?
2023.
My first semester here, actually. Okay. Isn't that crazy?
Yes.
Which was a wonderful art show. And it was, I think about it a lot because I think we both share an interest in the human, just a portrait, like a human portrait and what it can convey. And I don't know, all that's in that. I've definitely like discovered recently that like it's all I want to paint and draw is human faces, human portraits. I'm really into that. So can you talk about legacy photography? What is that? Talk about your art show a little bit. What do you like about it? Yeah.
Sure. I'll start with my art show because it was called Distinguished Characters, and every human being is so individual, you know. We have so many characteristics, and as you talk about wanting to paint or do faces, it's because we all have different faces.
Yeah.
But we're all drawn to faces. The number one form of photography is portraiture. I mean, if you look at the billions of photos that we have access to on our phones now, you know, the most popular type of photo is portrait.
Yeah.
Even back in the world was expanding and photography was moving across the world. Portraits were the number one form of images then, even though they had to stand still for minutes at a time and they couldn't smile, so we're always drawn to images of people. My Distinguished Characters show was a concept that I'd thought about for a few years before I actually did it, because as you heard, my life is a little crazy and all over the place. And that's one thing as an artist, you always have these ideas and then you don't always follow through on them because life gets busy. But I had mentioned the concept to Jason Jaspersen, and he's like, all right, I'm putting you on the calendar. So I'm like, okay.
I have to do it.
I'm committed now. So I spent a few months, I actually started in spring break of that year, and then just kept photographing men. So my goal with this was to encapsulate these phenomenal men that have touched so many people's lives. Like every single one of them, there were 42 in my show, and every single one of them had either worked at Bethany or was a member at my church, and just I've seen them in so many different aspects of like throughout my life with them and interactions, like how much they've impacted others. And I wanted to capture their personality and then also just have a piece of them for their families, because my legacy work is entirely about documenting the human being doing what they do every day, which is different than the Distinguished Characters in a sense, but yet there's so many similarities with it. So, and as soon as I'd come up with this concept for Distinguished Characters, I knew I wanted it to be black and white. I knew I wanted to showcase their growth and their distinguished aspect of them. Every single one of them had to be over 50. That was one of the determining factors. And so yes, it was some gray hairs and some wrinkles and just those characteristics that I love to pull out, because each wrinkle tells a story in a human being's life. So it was hard to come up with the list and narrow it down to that. And there were some that I asked that they were like, no, that's not really my thing. And I'm like, that's okay. It's not for everybody. But the sweetest part about it all was like, basically I'd sent a blanket email to the whole list that I'd narrowed down. And I'm like, I don't even know how to explain this to you other than this paragraph, but could you do something for me? Will you be in these photos for me? And they were all so wonderful that even though they didn't really know what they were getting into, they're like, sure, I'll do it for you, Denice, just because you asked. I'm like, oh, that's amazing.
Okay, so...
And then they had fun.
Yeah, and it was awesome.
While they were doing it.
I really wanted to talk about that. If you're imagining these portraits that she did as just like a student portrait, like someone looking at the camera, like... smiling a little bit awkwardly, you're not imagining the right thing. These were all intensely natural, like beautifully captured portraits of people. So you talked a little bit about this in your show, but I want you to talk about it again, obviously. Right. I've arrived to your studio. I'm ready to take some pictures. I don't know what's going on. What happens next?
What's the whole aspect?
What's the move? Yeah.
I tell this to my students a lot too. When you're working with human beings, you need to make them feel comfortable, because even if and actually I just told my class this on Tuesday because they have a portraiture assignment coming up. I'm like, even if it's your best friend or your boyfriend or girlfriend, they're comfortable with you. But once you put a camera in front of their face, it's a whole different thing, because you can tense up or, even though everybody's used to selfies these days, it's a whole different thing when you've got this big
camera
in between you. So I have been told that I'm pretty easy to get along with and that people feel comfortable around me. And so I have that benefit. And that's what I did. I made that. So actually each man that I photographed, I was really only with them for like 15, 20 minutes. Yeah. But they came in and we talked for a little bit, and I'm like, okay, just stand over here and I'm going to take photos of you while you are here and talking to me. And so I had a few questions that I asked every single one of them. Mm-hmm. And as they told me the answers to those questions, that's when I took their photos.
Mm-hmm. Wow.
So yeah, it was a very short really interaction, cool. Really, because I wanted to make sure that I wasn't, monopolizing their time too much. And I knew that I would know when I got it. Mm-hmm. And every single one of them, I got it.
So I'm curious, did you advise them on what to wear? Did you tell them to wear what they wanted? Like what? Yeah.
Great question. So I am definitely all about authenticity. Mm-hmm. I want to capture the humans in the most authentic way. Excuse me. There you go. And so what I had told them was, think about your legacy. That was the biggest piece. And for some, they're like, whoa, that's hard. What do I do? How do I think about this? And I actually told all of them, talk to your wife. Like, what tells your legacy? Because we're so hard at looking at ourselves, right? And thinking about what truly, what we're going to leave to the world. Mm-hmm. And the legacy piece is what stimulated some of those props that you were mm-hmm. talking about, because that it was so inherent to them and what they do every day. And so, there might have been a scientist wearing a lab coat holding a beaker because he does research and teaches students how to do research. And so, those are things that were just so natural. Mm-hmm. And as far as their clothing is what they felt the most natural in. And so one of them, he was wearing his golf shirt and his golf visor because that's who he is and what he wanted to represent. And mm-hmm. a lot of them were actually pastors, and they're more comfortable wearing suits. And, because they wear them all the time. And so then they showed up wearing suits because that's, kind of their uniform, really. So
that's cool.
That's why it was so varied, because
it's awesome too.
One, like my second father, basically he was wearing his painting outfit, mm-hmm. Because he painted homes for a living, or apartments, so. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It was cool. It made like the whole variety of photos so interesting to look at, like both separately and then as a group. When you put it all together, it's like, I don't know, this brilliant like collage of people and legacies.
Because we're all different. We each have a different legacy.
So like this search for authenticity, I think, is really, really interesting. This is gonna be a little bit tangential, but I think it might be interesting. And also, this podcast is literally formed around the idea of just us having a conversation. And I would definitely say this to you if we were just having a conversation. So in one of my classes right now, research methods, we're talking about like how to conduct research, mm-hmm. especially like social sciences research, or that's what it would apply to for me because it's for my communication major. And one of the things we're talking about when forming like your research like structure, or like how you're going to conduct things, is avoiding like different types of bias within the people you're studying. So literally we're it's like obtrusive or unobtrusive like research, like how in the environment of what you're studying are you, because how in it you are changes how the people around you act. Like we call it demand characteristics. So when someone knows that you're studying them, their behavior might change. Right. Like the act of being studied changes someone's behavior. It's
just like having a camera in somebody's face.
It changes. It's so interesting. It's cool because it makes what you're doing sound like what you're doing is researching. You're researching something, right? Mm-hmm. Because exactly what you said. It sounds like you're trying to study something that's very hard to actually capture when it's being observed. So someone's true, authentic self, the act of trying to observe it or capturing it often chases it away, right? And so I think what you're doing with these legacy pictures and what you did with your show is you've like honed and perfected your version of research on like the human, someone's most authentic self. So like this is gonna sound so woo-woo, but like you're researching people's like souls. I think that's beautiful. Like they're authentic. Their self, you're trying to capture that through your camera. And that sounds so hard. And so what you're saying, like as you're talking about what you managed to achieve with these legacy photos, I think that's really cool. And that I hope that kind of puts it into perspective of like capturing someone's authentic self is hard. It's really, really hard. It's just really cool. And I love it.
Well, and it makes me feel so blessed to hear that, because I don't ever even think about it being hard, because to me it comes so naturally.
Yeah.
But my tagline, or one of my 2 taglines for my business, is be authentically you. Because even if I'm documenting seniors or ag or legacy, like I want everyone to be authentic and me to capture that. And so I also think that's how I am so blessed and grateful, but I don't think about it enough, and think about how being a personable person that thankfully a lot of people do like hanging out with, you know, like it makes it easier for people to feel comfortable. You know, I can get very serious farmers who don't think I should be there by, you know, the end of the hour, like, wow, this is actually fun. Denice, you made this fun. And I didn't even think about you being here half the time, because it's just become so natural. So, so I think that's truly the only way that it happens. You know, God gives me that ability to just kind of morph into any situation.
Right. Okay. That's really cool. So you wouldn't say that it's taken practice, or would you say that I have?
Well, I mean, yes, I've been doing this a very long time, and the legacy work stems off of what really got me into photography in the first place. So when I started taking photos with a film camera back in the late 90s, like this is what I was doing without even realizing I was doing it. My publisher at the newspaper I was working with said, go do this, and I got this idea, let's go do it. So I documented the farmers and ranchers for an entire day, followed them around and took photos and wrote big stories in a huge newspaper tabloid thing that was awesome. It came out it wasn't awesome, my writing was terrible back then. But even so, the South Dakota Newspaper Association thought it was awesome enough to give me an award for it, because it had never been done before. And that's kind of where the concept for what I do now with my legacy work came from. And I don't know if we should get into that yet or now, but like even coming up with the concept for that aspect of my business, nobody does it. Like I didn't have any samples to look at other than thinking about what I did on film so long ago.
Yeah, right.
But I just knew I wanted to capture the authentic, hardworking American, no matter what aspect they were in. I wanted to get their authentic self. So then their family could have photos of them. You know, their families might not be with them day in and day out when they're on the, you know, factory floor or whatever. But yet this person has worked their entire life doing this and should have documentation of that.
Yeah. That's cool.
And with the farming and ranching aspect, like, that's where my heart is. That's where I grew up, and that's, you know, my studio is in a barn, for Pete's sake. So ag is my life, but it's so amazing how incorporated the whole families are in that element. And so, you know, you grow up in that element and they're working together, and it's just so beautiful. And it's just wonderful to be able to capture that and give them these pieces of history for them to remember forever and ever. Right.
Okay, so that's it's cool to hear you talk about this idea of legacy photography is something that's so like wow, you've been thinking about this for a while. Actually, it's not just, you know, something that you came up with when Jason asked you to do the show. In one of my classes, look, I'm a student. Okay, I'm taking the things that we talk about in classes.
You're paying attention.
It has a lot of salience in my mind. Thank you. So, in one of my classes in Reading as Writers Across Media, we're focusing in on different creators' obsessions and how they show up in their work multiple times. So like Steven Spielberg, and we watched 3 Steven Spielberg movies and then tried to pull out themes or like ideas, we call them obsessions, like across those 3 movies. And so what it sounds like you're talking about is like an artistic, I think all artists, if not like, or the best artists, if not all artists, have an artistic obsession. And I mean, this sounds a little bit Do you think this applies?
For sure. Yeah. But interestingly enough, so 2 parts to this answer, actually. So I really got my start with photography through journalism. And that, I mean, I still teach it. I love it. I love that aspect of that documentation, you know, and that history's sake, right? Like, you're telling the story for people to pay attention to now, and then have access to that in the future, right? And so, and that job was literally handed to me by God. Yeah. Like, somebody came up to me and said, you should go take this job. And I went there, and they gave me the job because I'd been the yearbook editor at Bethany Lutheran College. And they're like, you took all these photos, you wrote all these stories. Absolutely. You're hired. You know, so it was literally God handing me that. And so, you know, that's where all of that documentation aspect comes from. You know, I didn't know what I was doing. I was a 19-year-old kid well, by 20 by then, I guess. You know, just this kid working at a newspaper with all of this responsibility, and people trusted me, and they loved what I was doing, and they convinced me, the readers, and they all convinced me by... It became a fan club, basically. They're like, Denice, we love what you're doing. We love what you're doing. And that made me realize, oh, I should go to school for this. I should make it work. And so then, you know, the obsession part, it's so true. We as artists, we do obsess about things, and you know, just it ruminates in our brains, and until we can get it out there and make it happen, you know, it sits and it festers, and sometimes you're like, I just got to do this, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Right? And I think, you know, it took me, well, I know it took me so long because of having 4 kids in 5 years and trying to have this whole balance of being a mom and being a professor, and then incorporating the studio in there also, and just all of the pieces. And for many years, I took photos of everything. You know, like, people would ask me, and I'm like, oh, sure, I'll take photos of that. I never had to market because work came to me, and I was still, you know, plenty busy, but I wasn't truly doing what I am now and I love. And man, oh man, if I could just do legacy work all the time, it would be awesome. I love my seniors too. So I do senior photography, which isn't quite normal to the normal senior photographer. Right. So we could talk about that too. But then, and then the legacy piece, which is, the legacy is very much documentary crossed with lifestyle, where I'm riding along in the tractor with them, or walking the bean field, or whatever, just to capture them in the moment doing what they do.
Yeah. Wow. Okay, cool. So you would say, like, this interest or obsession with, like, legacy, or capturing that, or capturing people's authentic self, like, before, like, when you're working at this newspaper, it's kind of something you can incorporate into it, but also kind of sometimes you can't. But now, like, working in your studio, like you're saying, like, this is something you offer to people, like, hey, by the way, I do this. Right. So you've translated, like, a passion or obsession, something that before you had to do, like, in your free time, into, like, something that you can do for money, which is really, really nice.
Is amazing that God allows me to do this. And I will be honest, though, to take that step even took me a few years. So I went to a photo conference, and that year my husband Eric went with me, actually, and I'd gone to this session, and I remember sitting down with him for dinner that night, like, okay, I have this idea, but it's kind of crazy. Like, what should I do? So I told him, like, while I was sitting there, I came up with the idea of legacy, because it was like what I wanted to do. Because I think the person, even, I don't even remember who the speaker was or what the course was. I just know that I'd been in some class, and they're like, well, you need to, like, niche down and specialize. And here I'd been taking photos of everything and just kind of getting by, you know, like nothing was really filling my cup. I mean, it was all fun. Otherwise, I would have probably not done it. But yet I wasn't at the stage of my life where I would turn work down, because, again, I wasn't marketing. I wasn't paying anybody to help spread the word about Woller photography. I was just doing the work as it came, and definitely was still keeping me busy, but it wasn't this. And so we were sitting there, and he's like, well, I think you should do it. It only makes sense. And so I had amazing support from him, but still it took the time and the effort to figure out, like, how in the world do I morph my business to do just the legacy and the seniors, since I'd been doing everything for so long.
Yeah.
And just figuring out all those aspects. And I'm still trying to figure things out.
Yeah, that's okay. Yeah.
Because legacy is so different. Nobody knows about it. And I'll be honest, I do have a marketing team helping me right now, and the reason they reached out to me, they're like, Denice, we want to promote you because what you do is so killer. Like, it's so awesome, but nobody knows what this is. How can we tell them? So
I'm curious about, I think a lot of the time, like in our circles or the people we talk to, like having something that you're really passionate about also be your job is like, I mean, like, it's kind of debated whether that's like a thing you should do or not, or if you should keep it as a hobby, or if like changing into a job changes your relationship with that thing. And I think I haven't experienced that on like a huge scale because my passion is not my full-time job. It's like a part-time job. If I'm talking about like painting or drawing, like I'll get commissions, but like I'm a full-time student. So when I'm doing painting commissions and stuff, like it's just my free time. It's not every day. It's not for multiple hours every day, but I still find that I don't want to paint them as bad as the things that I come up with. And even some of these commissions I've literally gotten to like come up with them from inception. Like the person will just be like, all I have for you is a phrase. And then you take that and, you know, it's like I get taught this in class. Like how do we take a concept and turn it into an image and like an effective image? And I still like don't enjoy that as much as when I'm doing something that is completely my own, specifically for no money. Like, it's weird to only have, like, my passion is barely my job, and I can still recognize a difference in when I'm working on it as a job and when I'm not working on it as a job. So you have your passion as multiple jobs, actually.
I do.
You teach it. Also, you have a business. And also you're incorporating, I mean, if we're talking once again about legacy photography, that was something that was like an obsession, something that wasn't really a part of either of your jobs, maybe. And you're pulling it into the professional world. So it seems like you think that it can be a pretty good idea.
It can be done. You know, there's so many things I could go off tangentially here too, because, you know, the whole business aspect, you know, there's so many things about owning a business that I didn't sign up for, but I have to do because I am the owner of a business. And, you know, do I love all of the behind the scenes stuff? No, but I also don't want to pay anybody else to do it because I'm kind of a control freak. And you know,
these are things you have to know about yourself.
Exactly.
If you have
which
a business.
I'm learning. Yes. And so, you know, there's just so many things. So I try to teach my students, you know, those aspects, like, all right, just be prepared. You're going to have to do taxes and all these things. Yeah. So no matter what, even if you're living your passion, you know, there's going to always be things that you don't love. But I totally understand that as an artist, like you saying, you know, you love the paintings that you're coming up with on your own the most. And I think for yourself, for sure, that's something that you're totally just going to have to find. Yeah. Because there are ways as a painter to 100% make a living as a painter, right? But it also comes down to motivation. You know, you are a highly motivated individual, but I've seen a lot of painters come through here who are not, you know, and then they end up working at Walmart or, I mean, every medium, you know, it's, exactly. You know, if you are not motivated to do it, then you're not going to be able to make a living something at else. It. And I mean, the same thing with me. If I wouldn't have, you know, followed my dream and niche down and done this, like, it would have been very easy for me to still keep taking on all those other types of genres of photography. And I still get questioned from people every now and then, like, oh, can you take photos of this and this? And for a little while, it was really hard to say no. Yeah. But I've gotten much better at saying, I don't do that kind of photography anymore, but I will give you names. And so then I pass it off to students or, you know, other professional photographer friends that I have in the area. So
Okay, so I want to talk about that. I want to talk about saying no to stuff. There's a different thing. This is maybe unknown territory for both of us, so we'll explore it together. But what do you think kind of the line is for, or indicators are for when an artist or a passionate person who creates things, how can you tell when your passion should be your job? I don't think it's possible to have a job and like your passion not be in the back of your head. I think it affects almost everything you do. I think it affects the way you look at the world. The things you create are a direct result of of your input. So you take things in and then output, you create. When do you know that a passion should become your job, and when do you know that a passion should just stay a passion? And stay as a passion or like a hobby, it almost sounds like, I think people make that sound like a negative thing a lot. I don't think that's a negative thing at all. I think sometimes the kindest thing you can do to your creative self is saying that I'm not going to monetize this thing that I get so much joy out of. I think that can oftentimes be a fantastic, kindness to yourselves. So I don't know. What do you think?
I think it's so individualized.
I think you're, I'm
coming at it from a very different perspective than you did. I was told I should do this by my mom because she saw talent in me with a camera. But, growing up in South Dakota, a photographer wasn't really a job that you saw, right? And so, I even didn't think about becoming a photographer when I came to Bethany as a student, because I was like, well, that's not really a job, and it's all what right? I hadn't seen examples of that other than the one man that took photos of every aspect of our childhood, school photos and all of those things. And I knew I didn't want to be a school photographer. Yeah. Ironically, I've been doing it for 25 years. I still do school photography because I love it. And it's, it's not the most creative, but it's just fun, and I love the faces that I photograph. So I do, that's one of the other things that I do keep, but I don't advertise that. I have my specific schools and stick with that. But so I came at it very different because she told me I should do it, but I ignored her. I didn't realize that, moms are brilliant. She was right. And it really wasn't until I was working at that newspaper and everybody else was telling me that my work was great. And I'm like, oh, my mom was right. I should be a photographer.
Maybe I should do this. Right.
So then I got married and went to school for it. But even when I went to school for it, even when I was looking at colleges, I was like, I don't know really what I want to do with this. But then as you start school, and I went to Montana State, so we're in the beautiful mountains, is amazing, and it's just so scenic. I was doing a lot of landscape stuff, but I didn't want to be a landscape photographer. I was the editor of the Montana State newspaper, the Exponent, and I was doing photojournalism for that, but I was also bossing everybody around because I was the boss. But I also didn't have this big pull, I want to be a full-time photojournalist, that kind of thing, but I had in the back of my mind the National Geographic kind of thing, where you're documenting life. And even Eric told a National Geographic photographer that we had met in Bozeman, he's like, I know that if she had the chance, Denice would just go and she would go explore, and I'll be your Sherpa. Even back then, he knew that I just had this sense of adventure and to document the world around me. But I also didn't think about how much I liked to document people at that stage. Yeah. It wasn't actually until after I had our oldest when I even started really taking photos of people, because I took photos of my baby girl, and other moms kept asking oh, will you take pictures of my kids? Yeah. And that's how my studio honestly started, because I didn't actually initially plan to own a studio at all, which sounds strange, but actually Bethany asked me to start teaching right after I graduated from Montana State. And so I became the professor, and then a few months later I became the mom. And I hadn't really taken that mental capacity to truly think about what I wanted to do. Yeah. Which seems crazy to say out loud and to think about it, because I really hadn't thought about it until just now. I hadn't sat down because God kept putting all of these amazing things in my life. And I'm I'm content. I'm doing this. I love every aspect of it. But it truly wasn't until I started having health issues that I started thinking about, what do I really want to do?
Yeah.
And then that's when I started thinking about the legacy.
Okay, I think your response was actually fantastic, and I think answered my question in a lot of different ways. Let me see if we can kind of quantify what you just said. Okay, so first of all, I think you said pay attention to what you're good at. Like, that's important. All of the, and actually initially you weren't paying attention to what you're good at. Thankfully your mom was, and other people were. And so pay attention to things that you're good at. That will give you a general direction. And I think I've actually heard that before. People say a lot like, do what you love as your career. I read an interview or a study or something where someone in the interview was like, don't just do what you love. Like, that's not, it should be a lot about also what you're good at, because being good at something means that you're going to care about it a little bit more, because we're vain little creatures, and when we're good at something, we want to keep doing it, right? So, you know, paying attention to something that you're good at, and also, like, the better you get at it, the more, like, you progress, the better you're going to feel about continuing to do that, or challenging yourself more, or seeing so you're saying pay attention to what you're good at.
Yep.
Pay attention to what you would like to do. Like, pay attention to what you want to do. And that sounds so like
pay attention to the signs that God gives you too.
Yeah.
Because you might be putting it right in front of your face, you know, and you might ignore it thinking, oh, I can't do that. Or having that fear, you know, there's so much fear too. Like, oh, especially in the arts, you know, I can't do that. I can't make a living. I will never make enough money. I have so many photographer friends that make 7 figures. Like, it can totally happen. Yeah. Right? You just have to, again, have that energy and the wherewithal to, like, say, I'm going to do this. I'm going to dedicate this aspect of my life to this and make it work.
It's like we've come up, because, like, when we're listing these things, okay, so, like, what are you good at? What do you like to do? What do you want to do? What is the world around you telling you to do?
Right.
All of these things kind of
maybe not listen to the world.
Not the world. God. What is God telling you to do? I think when we're talking about all of these things, like, it comes back to, like, pay attention. Like, pay attention to yourself and to what God is telling you.
Which is so hard if you're empathetic and you want to help others, I think, because, and, you know, looking back and thinking about me, that's where I didn't pay attention to me for so long, you know, because you've got babies and you've got, you know, a husband and 2 jobs and all of this. Like, what should I be doing? You know, I mean, I was still using the talents God had given me all the time, right? But I do feel more full and happy when I'm working the way I am now, actually.
Yeah. And I think, I mean, that rule, like, pay attention sounds like very easy, like, got that in the bag. But I mean, like, when we're thinking about it, like, it's not almost everything in our life, especially the older you get, everything is vying for your attention. Right. And we perfectly segued into the next point about saying no. But there's so much noise. And when we're talking about what God is trying to tell you, of course the world is always going to be trying to distract you.
No, totally.
Like, so, I mean, living and existing and growing older, the noise is going to increase. It's, like, going to steadily become harder and harder to pay attention. So, like, of course this is something kids are confused about, especially I think in the environment we're in at a college campus, at a liberal arts college campus,
all your peers,
at a Christian liberal arts college campus. Like, there is so much noise. It's actually really hard to pay attention. So I guess that's something we wanted to talk about too, is there's a lot of noise. There's a lot of stuff that you could be doing, maybe should be doing, and maybe should say no to. So tell me about your journey with that.
When you have so many things that you love.
Yeah.
And again, my mother was brilliant because in high school, she told me, she's like, Denice, when you get older and have a family, you got to slow down. You can't do all this. Because in high school, I did everything. I was like you. I was in everything. Like, I was in every sports. I was in drama. I was yearbook editor there. You know, like, I did everything in high school and I worked on our farm, and I had the energy to do it, and I loved it all. Like, I didn't do anything that I didn't like, really. I loved it all, and I'm definitely a people person though too. I love being around. I do. I totally do. And so, you know, that's what got me through. So when Mom told me that, I'm like, I'm fine. But then, you know, and I did the same thing when I came to Bethany. I was in charge of everything here too, and did all the things, and took lots and lots of credits. Like, I had enough credits to graduate with a 4-year degree when I left with a 2-year. So, I just wanted to learn and soak it all in and just do all the things. But as you might know, you know, the more you do, you don't always do everything phenomenally, right? And that is definitely something that I learned the older I got. Like, at first I was like, I can do it all. But I mean, you can ask my kids, you know, like, I wasn't always there for them because I had 2 other jobs, right? Yeah. Even though when I started my studio, I was like, I can totally plan around their lives. And my mom had told me that too. She's like, you should have a studio when you're older and you have kids, and you can have your studio in your yard and go back and forth. I'm like, well, that's exactly what I'm doing now. But I mean, she was, I don't know, she could tell the future, I guess. But she knew what I should do. But I didn't, you know, it's all learning trial by fire, right? Yeah. But still, I try to do more than I should, and God has definitely tried to make me slow down and appreciate what I do have, because I do have some health things that make me slow down. Like, I physically can't do the things that I used to be able to do, which is hard, but it's also God's way of saying, like, you really don't need to do all that anymore. Yeah. Like, you can slow down. Like, be more present in your family, because they're not going to be around much longer, you know? I mean, they're all in college, so, you know. Literally all today. On our college campus today. And yeah, in another year, I mean, every single one is going to be an adult. And I think that's been hard for me to fathom the last few weeks. Like, yeah, my baby's going to be 18 in 1 year. You know, I'm like, I'm not ready, but yet mathematically it all works out. It makes sense. Weirdly, this has been, maybe actually not weirdly at all. My friends and I have, like, spoken about this a couple of times of, we're, for the most part, all juniors or seniors now, some sophomores. But it is, like, getting tiring. And of course it always does. Your classes are going to get harder.
Exactly, classes get harder. Like, there's, when you're a freshman, like, going into the job field, it feels quite far away. So you don't think about that as much. So we're balancing, like, different things, and so it's been interesting and, like, very refreshing to talk to people about, like, what is droppable and what's not. And I don't want to bring this up again, because I talked about this on the Matt Moberg podcast too, but if someone who's listening, if one of the readers, what do we call it? Yeah, if one of the readers listen to that one and is also listening to this one, look, it works. The metaphor really works, okay? Leave me be. I talked about this one author who said that living is like juggling balls, and some of the balls are plastic and some of the balls are glass, and you have to know which balls are plastic, and you can drop and they'll be okay, and you have to know which balls are glass, and if you drop them they'll break. It's a great analogy. Yeah, it was. And so, like, I guess I've been thinking about that more of some things that when I was younger, or that I've seen my friends, like, when they were younger, some things that we thought were plastic are getting to be glass, like sleeping enough. Like, when we were younger, it was like, whatever, we're fine. And it's kind of like, oh, okay, so I actually feel horrible if I don't sleep enough, and I don't do as well in classes, and I don't like all of these things. Or you time for passions, or time for resting that is not sleep, is maybe a glass ball. I like the more that
and they may change back and forth based on different phases, you know?
Exactly.
I mean, if you're blessed with children, sleep won't happen again and God gets you through, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, sleep is what got me to be so unhealthy because basically I gave myself fibromyalgia. I'll just say it. Like I went go for so many years. And what happens is your body just shuts down and says, nope, you can't do that anymore. And so it's a lot of different things that are going on in your body, but that's essentially what it comes from. It's just having to stop.
So it's, exactly. If you like push too hard, don't be tricked. Like something is going to get, like something is going to give, whether it's your mind or it's your body or probably in both of those situations, God saying, calm down.
It is like, no, you're not. Well, we're not built for this. I mean, if you look at, and you'll notice this when you go to Italy too, because Americans, our culture is so different. It's all about go. But pretty much every other culture around the world, it's so much slower and it's so much more relaxed and how God, I think, wants us to be and like taking in his creation and paying attention to others around us. Like I even have guilt about not taking time to help other people as much as I know I should because like I just don't have the energy to take care of myself sometimes. So how can I go make a meal for somebody who's sick when I can't even get my own meal made, that kind of thing, you know? So it's just, again, making those choices. But yeah, it'll fluctuate through your life too, I think, based on the season that you're in. But understand, and after I got fibromyalgia, I was like, I feel like I could be the poster child for students. Like, your body is not really meant to do this. Like, you need to slow down. But yet, who am I to talk? I still have two business. I mean, I have a business and I still am teaching. It's like, and
slow down.
I know, right? But I used to be on campus so much more than I am. I used to be doing so much more, and finally I realized, like, I physically can't. And
And I will say, like, I think you've definitely been, it has not been normal maybe in college for me or for other people or for as a student experience to be told, like, there's an opportunity, like, maybe you shouldn't take it. And I will say many of the times that I think that has happened to me in college, it's not been a lot, but the times that has been, like, advice that someone has given me has been from you when an opportunity would come and I would think about it or be like, like maybe I can do it. And like most of the time when I say that, a teacher or whoever is introducing the opportunity be like, okay, great, I'm so glad. It's not the standard for the teacher to be like, maybe you should not do it if you're not sure. Like, actually think about it. Really, can you actually do this?
Right. There's only 24 hours in the day, which we active women like to try to think there's more, but there's really not. And you can't always sacrifice the sleep.
Yeah, and I think, like, learning that and being very genuine with myself about whether or not I want to do things, whether or not I'm people pleasing or
that's a big part of it too.
Yeah, doing those activities. It's like you can say no to stuff. It's okay. It's not.
But it takes practice too. It takes this whole mental compartment that we're not, you know, those like us, that we don't start out like that because we are people pleasers, but also we find joy in doing the things.
Action,
and if we are stimulated by others around us, you know, if that brings us joy, just being around people and having conversations too, like even if we're not really loving the thing that we're doing, we're still loving being around the people. And so that leads us to those decisions too. And here, Bethany, there's, I mean, so many fun things to do.
Exactly.
Ways to use your talents.
It's like a nesting doll of cultures that if you want to say no to something, you've got to break out of all of them. So there's like a mental culture, there's like a college campus culture, there's a country culture, and then there's just like a simple world culture that I think if we're talking about slowing down or pondering as, I think, maybe a more like godly, like I think that's a godly lifestyle than then obviously the world is going to pull away from that.
But also thinking of that pull, and I mean, what does the average human do when they slow down in this day and age? They scroll on their phone, right? Nothing good. So it's making that conscientious effort of, okay, I'm not going, if you're not going to be involved in something, then like, what are you going to do with that time?
Yeah, exactly.
Like, maybe it is taking a nap or sleeping, but if it's just scrolling, doom scrolling, like, that's not, that you should have been doing something else. In my mind, I'm a terrible TV watcher. I cannot sit and watch TV because to me, it's a waste of time.
No, I think that's very fair. I think it's another, like, I mean, we could talk about that for another hour.
Right, I know. That could be a whole episode. I know.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
How I'm terrible at social media because I don't
productivity. Like, what? Like, how are we defining? I don't know. It's so interesting. Because let's talk about it just for a second. Because, like, if we're talking about reading a book, like, that, to me, that's, like, I think in the past that would have been, like, they're just lazing around and reading their book. Now I'm like, that's productive. You're putting information in your brain that probably should be there. And then we have something like doom scrolling. It's like, that is an unproductive, restful activity.
That is such a great comparison. It's like, because that's definitely not the first thing that most human beings go to in this day and age. But yeah, think about what you can learn.
Right. So it's both of these are like what we would think of as restful activities. But if we're weighing them productivity wise, which is not necessarily healthy, you shouldn't be weighing everything in your life about how productive it is, but it's a thing. So what else you been thinking about?
Well, the one thing that I didn't talk about with legacy that I really do wish I would have mentioned, so I'm going to get it out there right now.
Please.
A big driving force to why I finally took the step to do it was the fact that I don't have photos of my dad on our farm, because he actually passed away while I was at Bethany. It's between my freshman and sophomore year, and that's why I love ag so much too, because I'm like, I look at these families, I'm like, now they're gonna have this, they're gonna have it, unlike what I did. And I've talked to so many other like family members and friends that have told me like, I sure wish I had that of my family and my dad and or even my mom, and so it's just the fact that I get paid to capture these memories for these families is just phenomenal. But that's really what encouraged me to truly do it. And when Eric and I were talking, he's like, well, yeah, it makes total sense. But that's a huge driving force for me, because I want to, if I could, I would take pictures of everybody so everybody would have photos of their family. But obviously, going back to the saying, no, that's not physically possible.
Yeah, right.
But every single one has been such an amazing experience, just because they're such wonderful people, and I love getting to know them on that level. So
yeah, that's awesome.
And thinking about my distinguished characters, like I said it during my art show lecture, I'm like, I know it sounds morbid, but you have these photos now, because I gifted each of them that were in the show the print that I made of them. It was this beautiful 16 by 20 metal print, and I wanted them to have a beautiful image of themselves. And more than one have already passed away, and they've already been able to use it for their funerals. So even though it seems morbid and sad, maybe that's also a huge driving force of why I do what I do.
It's the truth,
Yeah, I can't even count anymore how many funerals photos that I've taken have been in, actually, over the years.
Right.
And I love that.
Right.
They have my images.
I think it's a fantastic blessing, and like I think a very cool thing that you can say that your photos have done. I think it's a cool thing.
They have impact long after the person is
seems to be a theme with you. You talk about that a lot in your book too. Whenever we're like, I have to write this story, you're like, guys, no, this is gonna be around for hundreds of years. Like, you don't understand what you're doing.
Well, and it's so hard for your age to realize. Because you're so young, and everything that is in front of you is so instantaneous, right? Like back to the scrolling, you see it, it's gone. Like it doesn't even show up again unless you search for it again, right? And so it's just, a whole different mentality. That's why I preach it so much, but it is huge for me. That's why in my studio, I'm such a proponent, and why I push on all of my clients the printed material, because I'm not a shoot and burn studio. You can't come to me and get your photo taken and I just give you a thumb drive with your files.
Right, like,
because
don't just keep it
because it's like sticking a painting of yours in a drawer, right? Like, you put all of this effort and this time and this creativity into it, and then if somebody stuck it in the drawer, wouldn't that make you cry? Right?
Yeah.
That's what it is like for a portrait artist who has somebody do that. So that's why I print everything, not every single file, but I print photos for all of my clients, because I want them to have it hanging on the wall and have the albums to look through and have their grandkids to look at years down the road. Just like the yearbooks that you make are also. You know, when my mom passed away in September, or August actually, but in September I was like going through all of my parents' yearbooks. And I hadn't done that for years. And it's just so amazing to me to think about, you know, all of that history that's there. Of course, you know, obviously I'm tied to it because I love yearbooks. I'm still the advisor, right? Yeah. But it's just such a historical document. And for my kids and my future grandkids to be able to look at their great-grandparents in this book, you know, it's just so awesome.
Yeah, that is awesome. Okay, so one of the things that I had like a week or two ago, I was like, okay, when I talk to Denice, this is what I for sure want to talk about. But something else occurred to me just today, in fact, that I thought I should talk to you about. And that is technical prowess, which is like, you're gonna hear like student Norah and advisor Denice right now, because I have, so like I was telling you earlier, like, so this week I'm doing Q&A, which means that it is for the scroll. I made myself sign up for something that was not just yearbook, so that I would learn how to edit photos better.
Good job.
On that
You never told me why you did that. Okay.
Yeah. So I was like, okay, come on, like, bite the bullet. You have to learn how to edit these photos, even though it's like it's not gonna be hard. She wrote out the directions, like literally, it's like following an instruction manual.
Training your brain to do something new.
Exactly. So I was like, okay, I need to do photos that are the scroll. And I was nervous about this also because it's not unobtrusive. Like, you're literally, you have to talk to the person for Q&A. You have to ask them to stand for a picture. Like, it's like you have to talk to them. And so I was like, okay, this will be quite healthy. And it's been fun and interesting, except that I am not good at taking pictures yet.
Well,
that's the only thing.
You know, there's somebody in this room.
Yes, I know. And I have also Hannah, the beautiful, wonderful angel that she is, has been like, anytime you are confused, please talk to me. Like, tell me, I can show you everything. And I do. I just need to get a better in-depth tutorial of how a camera works and how to like change settings and stuff to work. Because I was having trouble earlier today with stuff, and I grabbed, like, Skylar was like walking out of a class, and I was like, Skylar, get over here. You know how the camera works. Why isn't this working? And she was like, oh, beep, 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 and like fixed like something. She was like, someone turned this all the way down. And I was like, I didn't even know it existed. Like, I couldn't have even fixed that problem if I had wanted to, and I did want to. Well, but she fixed it for me, and so it's mostly fine now. There's still not good
Well, just ask my Photo One students.
students.
There's a lot to learn.
Yes. So I've been having, like, it's been interesting to, like, be taking pictures and be like, dang, still pretty bad at this. And then also, I like writing. I think it's fun.
She's amazing
Thank
at
you.
it. She's such an amazing writer.
When I'm talking about, like, writing that is not for, like, class or assignments, it becomes exponentially, shockingly harder for me to do. But that's what I really care about. Like, I love writing. I think it's fun. I really want to do it. I'm bad at it. I am so bad at doing it. Like, not only is there like an aspect of it that, like, sometimes writing is bad. That's okay. That doesn't bother me. I know that I can change it and make it better. Like, that's what editing's for. But, like, the actual act of, like, doing writing, I'm horrible at.
No way, I never would have figured that.
I know. I literally,
the secret's out, folks.
I'm like for most things, I tend to be a fairly disciplined person, but I'm really bad at this one thing.
So what makes it so bad, though? Like,
I just genuinely, like, I sit down to, like, I can have like a story in my head that I'm like, I need to write this down. And if there wasn't like this intrinsic need in me to like, I have to write this down, I would have given up a long time ago. But like, I genuinely like, I know this is something I have to do. We've talked about this on this podcast before of like most artists have like inside of them like this thing where they're like, I need to do this, whether it's like fun or not. So I'm like, I know that I need to do this writing. I cannot sit down and focus and do it. Like I'll set word count for myself. Like, you have to write this much. I'll try to do like timing. I'll try to just be free with it and be like, whatever, write as much as you want. You just have to sit down and do it. I'm bad at all of them. And the other day I was walking back to my dorm being like, maybe I should not try to like, maybe I should just like only do this when I like want to, I guess, because apparently I can't like, I can't do this. And then it like, I don't know, with both of these things, it occurred to me that like, I'm always encouraging people to draw or paint, even when they're bad at it, because with practice, it's not like a maybe you'll get better. Drawing and painting is one of those things where like the more you do it, you absolutely will get better. It's kind of unfortunate guarantee because it means at the beginning you're really bad at it, but it also means that there's kind of a
start
guarantee,
somewhere.
like
everything you got to start somewhere.
And
just
so
like
it kind of occurred to me that like I have no business telling people to persevere with their drawing and their painting if I can't like put my big girl pants on and be like, okay, you don't want to write 200 words, like, or you keep getting distracted or something, that's too bad, or your pictures are bad right now, like, that's too bad. Like, you have to keep going, you have to learn. So I don't know, but that's just been kind of on my mind, and I was like, I should talk to Denice about this. This is kind of interesting.
Well, it is interesting to hear your take on that, because I never, well, for one thing, I never would have figured that you ever had problems writing, because you are always in class like, yeah, I want to do this, and you have your idea, and you're gung-ho, and then you come back with amazing stories,
thank you.
So good. And I've told you before, Norah, that I wish I could clone you, and I'm not kidding. I don't want her to graduate, so we might just keep her here as long as possible. But you are so talented. But do you think part of it is because, like, just that extra pressure? Like, if it's just all about the deadline, and with journalism, we have to have deadlines, so that's the hard part.
It's interesting because for scroll articles that I have to write, I don't, for the most part, have problems with writing those at all. And this applies to like assignments across the board. Okay. If I have to write a creative story for a class, no problem. I got it.
So this is about the research aspect of finding
about
the
like
pieces.
Personally, when I have to write a story like for nothing but myself, I want to do it 100%. Like, I need to do it, also 100%. Like, it's like this distinct feeling, like, I need to write this down. It's just, like, the action of it, which, I mean, like you're saying, is a very unfamiliar feeling for me. The action is, like, 3%. Like, I cannot force myself to do it. Which,
do you think any of that has to do with the different directions that your brain is going with, like, all of the things that you do?
It might be.
Okay, maybe, I know this is a priority, but yet I'm not just motivated. And I mean, that happens with all of us with motivation for different things. And,
absolutely.
And then things become the priority because, I have that deadline. I mean, that happens in the real world too.
Sometimes,
right?
like, literally, I can't do this right now. Like, I have other stuff. But I think, like, when I sit down to do it, like, what else is going on that might be subliminally, like, taking my
and I feel like,
it.
Obviously there's so many distractions in the world, but I think that is also a big aspect of why we don't get things done very easily these days, you know, like, I mean, even if you're trying to type on your computer and you have another tab open, you know, you've got all these ads flashing in your face, and you're like, or I don't know how people type and write stories with shows going or anything, but I know people study with all that. I'm like, I don't know how their brain processes all of that at once, but
different.
Yeah. But I think distractions are a big part too.
So that would be good to pay attention to. I also think like when it recently, like when I've been trying to sit down and write something personally that I would like to write, I've been trying to like focus a little bit more and try to identify like what is so difficult about this, like what's pulling me back from this. And of course it's like I think there's like some like fear or unfamiliarity with like the difficulty of it, because like you're saying, like I think I'm a fairly determined person, so when like determination sometimes feels like it's not enough, like I don't really know what to do. It's like I like short circuit a little bit. It's like, no, like I have motivation, I have determination, like why can't I make myself do this?
Oh, and that's such a natural thing too, like that slight fear of the unknown, like, or like just like not knowing the final outcome for sure. Like, you know what the formula is and how to put it together, but just you don't know how the pieces are going to fall into play.
Right. So
that's such a mature thing for you. You're a very mature woman, though.
Thank you very much. So I guess all of it has just been like trying to identify, and of course like what I keep coming up with is I'm unfamiliar with this. Like, this isn't how I usually feel about things, and so I'm not used to how my mind works in this state, which is okay, because I think, like, how wonderful an opportunity to figure out another way that my mind works. And how can I this sounds maybe a little bit bad, but I'm a production oriented person, so for me it's like, okay, my mind is I'm in a different headspace, like my mind is working differently than what I'm used to, maybe, like how can I maximize this new like facet of my mind or of my intellect that I maybe haven't yet. So like trying to think of it like that, I think is probably maybe something I should focus on. So things I'm unfamiliar with, and going along with that, I think just things that I'm bad at. I think right now, like when you're in college, probably what you're going into is something that not only that you like, but that you're good at, like we were talking about earlier. And so being confronted with things that you're bad at obviously is scary, but I'm so glad that I'm in photojournalism. And I'm so glad that I have not let go of writing as like a personal passion, because they're both things that I'm bad at. And I think one of the duties of an artist is to be bad at things.
Well, that's, such a fear in life. Like, I can't be bad at anything. And I think that gets ingrained in our heads when we're in grade school, right? Like, we can't be bad. We don't want anybody to laugh at us. We want to please everybody. But I also think that, that's huge for you to already realize, like, okay, it's okay to make mistakes. And that's what college should be about, is like learning and knowing what we're really not good at, but yet what's so, especially, when you feel like everybody's looking at you, in this day and age too, there's so many ways for people to know what you're doing and what's going on. But so then also, makes us more fearful to try new things. And I've been listening to a lot of menopause podcasts, actually. I'm like, midlife, I know, but oh goodness, we won't go there too much, except for the fact that so many of them encourage you to try doing something that you're really not good at, and that you're chicken to do, because it really does open up a whole different part of your brain.
Right. It's so healthy for your brain to be doing things that you're bad at. And also that's a really interesting, this is tangential, of course. In my some of my communication courses, we talk about like it's impossible to communicate without bias, because using one word instead of another word automatically you're biased towards whatever that word is. So like communicating in any form you're automatically biased. And I think the way that we choose words to talk about things that we're technically when we're talking about being bad at things, like we're talking about being like less practiced, less skilled,
right?
Bad. So we use bad to describe things like evil people. We're like, that's a bad person. Like the same word that we used to describe like Hitler is the same word that we used to describe like not being practiced at something or not being skilled at something, even if, you know, like sometimes we were just not good at things in life. So I don't know. That's tangential, but it literally is just, by the way, that's really interesting that we think so.
So practice
as a culture,
new things.
We think about being bad at things like that.
But also don't overwhelm yourself with the new things, you know, don't take on too many new things either. Because, you know, I've been thinking about that when they're like, try a new thing, do all this. And I'm like, I have so many things that I already have in my mind that I haven't done yet that I want to do, or, you know, so I just need to do it. Yeah. Like, even if I would take the time to do it, I would have time, or I could do it, but.
I mean, and that wraps around to all that we were saying about, like, hey, sometimes you have to say no to stuff. That is beautiful. Right. Okay, so Norah and Denice's guide for existing in the world, pay attention and balance, I think, is pretty healthy.
And then when you find it, give us advice. So we
would love to hear it. Write in. We love to hear it. Let us know, because we're still figuring it out.
Still working on that.
Yeah, and then, but then it's like with all this stuff, it's so, I mean, you said this earlier in the podcast, and it's like so true. It's so individual. Yeah, like that's what we're talking about when we say pay attention and be balanced. Is like balance for me is not the same thing as balance for someone else.
Because an introvert is not going to do the same things as us, because they want to go hide somewhere, you know.
It's so individual.
Yeah, just figuring out what works best for you, but really paying attention to yourself, which I need to do better too. Because you know,
it's a hard skill to learn. You really don't get taught that.
It is. Well, and as a mom, when you become a mom too, I think it becomes harder because you want to make all those little people happy and make sure that they're getting everything that they need. You know?
I think that's one. Paying attention to myself or trying to know myself has been like, I feel like there are so many Disney movies that like that's like the big question in the movie, like who am I? I remember being a kid and being like, who am I? That's the stupidest question. What do you mean? Like as a kid I was like, this is ridiculous that they're having this existential crisis about this, and now like I'm like,
well, but even if I were to think about the question of who am I, like it's a long sentence. I mean, that's what we had to start with this, you know? It's like, I'm a mom, I'm a wife, I'm a professor, and I'm a business owner.
And I think that's maybe when we find that like language is not the best form of communication for when we're trying to say who am I? Maybe that's when a photograph is a better way.
Yeah.
Is a better way to say it, or a painting or creation, just in general. Like Jason says this all the time, but like art is so often trying to tell the world like, this is who I am or what I think, like what do you think? So it's like this it's like an attempt at like understanding, and I think that's really cool. And I think that's what you do with your photographs. It's a genuine and a very inspirational attempt to understand people.
Thank you. I like to think there's more depth to them than just a picture of a face.
That's so true. One of the quotes that we end up bringing up a lot on this podcast is Neil Gaiman said it. He said people are so much bigger on the inside, which I think is such a wonderful like children's book little quote. I just love it. Got
to illustrate it. There you go.
So, yeah, you're doing wonderful, wonderful things. You're a fantastic teacher, and I'm so blessed to have you in my life and to get to talk to you like this. And I love you so much. Thank you so much for coming on the podcast.
I'm so flattered and honored to be here. Thank you for having me.
Of course.
Thank you for all of you for listening to this.
Yeah, thanks, guys.
It's been fun.
Yeah, so thanks for reading. And we'll talk to y'all later.
God bless.
And that concludes this episode of Whistle the Feast. We hope you enjoyed being a part of the conversation as much as we did. Whistle the Feast would not be possible without all the creative people and spaces at Bethany Lutheran College. And you can head on over to blc.edu to learn more about the college or schedule a visit. If you have thoughts, questions, or feedback, we'd love to hear from you. You can actually send any feedback about the show to feastreaders@gmail.com. And hey, if you've got a project you'd like to promote, we'd love to support it. Just send your details our way. A huge shout out to the wonderful people in our Bethany community for sharing their thoughts with us, and our producer Jaksyn Graham for managing the edits. And with that, I'm Norah Kratz alongside Jaspersen, and we want to thank everyone who tuned into this episode of Whistle the Feast. Until next time.
Get curious, be of good service, and discover what God has given you.